This is Dr. Terry Anderson. I'm your presenter for this webinar. We're going to get started in just a moment. We're waiting right now for everybody to get settled in. So if you'll bear with me for just another minute, we'll be starting this webinar on time. In the meantime, let me assure you of a couple of things. First, our webinars are designed to be presented efficiently. What that means for you is that we're not going to waste your time with a lot of filler material. Second, our webinars are designed to provide you with quality, actionable content. So, our webinars are designed to save you time and aggravation while helping you to make money faster. Typically, therefore, our webinars usually last between 20 and 30 minutes totally. Now, I think this webinar is probably going to run closer to 30 minutes because we have some concepts to present to you that are perhaps a little out of the ordinary. But we always provide you with a telephone number and a link to our website at the end of the webinar so that we can answer personally any questions which are highly specific to you and that you need an answer for. Of course, we also have a chat box that enables us to respond to most questions so that the entire audience can get the answer to a widely held question. One other matter. Unlike most other webinars that you've ever attended, we do not make selling pitches at the end of our webinars. The reason is very simple. We believe that you attended this webinar to begin with because you wanted ideas for the solution to a problem. In other words, you wanted content. And although you might like what you hear and you might want to take a buying action, our purpose, first and foremost, is to educate you, not to sell you. Our webinars are intentionally short by comparison with others because we do not add an additional 20 to 40 minutes of intense sales hammering at the end by offering you fake discounts, worthless bonuses, and countdown clocks. If you like what you hear or you have questions which were not addressed to your satisfaction, you can call us. We will work with you for whatever time it is necessary for you to be fully informed and satisfied, and to take whatever action you deem appropriate. So, with all that having been said, I would urgently request that you put aside all distractions, that you close all applications that you might be working on with your computer, and that you mute your cell phone, close the door, and pay attention to what we have to say. We're not going to be repeating ourselves just for the sake of repetition, because we feel that our content has been carefully created in the first place. Now, if you're like me, you'll probably disregard what I've just said, but I'm telling you right now that the concepts we're going to present to you are different, and you need to pay attention. Okay, we're just about ready to go. Let me check with the guy who knows all the technical details to make sure that this webinar is being recorded for future replay, and then we'll get started, okay? Everything seems to be in order, so let's get started. What is all this about? Well, it's about growing your business by marketing geographically to zip codes and subdivisions. This is Dr. Terry Anderson, your host and presenter for this webinar. And I'd like to say thank you for your interest and thank you for your attendance. I know you have many things otherwise that you could be doing. This webinar will be approximately 30 minutes in duration and will involve a discussion of what I and my team believes is the most concise, most productive, most cost-effective marketing strategy available to the medium and small-sized business in the local and regional marketplace. This strategy involves the marketing of a business's product or service to specific zip codes and or local subdivisions through the use of a strategy called no-click retargeting. As I mentioned to you earlier, my name is Dr. Terry Anderson. I'm a graduate of Georgetown University, Harvard University, and a Canadian university called McGill University in Montreal. I'm a former university professor, and I've been a well-respected online marketing consultant for many, many years. I'm a published author on the topic of lead generation for both online and offline businesses. In addition to my academic experiences, I personally have been involved in the sale of real estate, insurance, and investment securities, as well as a host of other tangible and intangible products and services over the years. I was involved at both the management and sales levels, and so I have a great deal of experience from both perspectives. I've been monitored by some of the greatest sales and marketing geniuses from the present and the past. I have taught marketing, branding, lead generation to many thousands of students and businessmen at the college level. I have both practical and theoretical knowledge on these topics. So here's what's important. With all this experience and research, here's what I've come away with. Marketing geographically on the basis of a zip code selection and subdivisions is the most practical strategy for developing a widely perceived and deeply embedded brand. A strong brand will result not only in contemporaneous sales, but also long-term relationships and future ongoing sales. There are a lot of reasons why zip codes and subdivisions, but the most obvious is that when you choose zip code marketing and subdivision farming, you are choosing to concentrate your marketing dollars toward a well-defined, well-understood target to achieve the highest possible immediate and long-term marketing impact. Otherwise, unless you have a huge advertising budget, you cannot possibly have much of an impact on consumers when you market to larger geographies. You'd just be diluting your impact. Here's what you get for your dollars when you market this way. By marketing to specific zip codes and subdivisions, you're targeting to well-identified demographics and thus using your marketing dollars intelligently. You know the relative wealth classification of the families living in such defined locations, and therefore, by default, you know a great deal about the spending habits of these families. You know their general age categories. You know the general social and recreational categories that apply to these people. You have a very clear picture of the financial status and spending habits of people by virtue of where they live. You can find out how many people comprise an average family unit. You can ascertain how well they maintain and improve their housing and the automobiles that they drive. And thanks to the Census Bureau, you can get a lot of information about the racial composition, the national origin of people who live in an area. You can find even what languages other than English are spoken there. So, what's the bottom line? When you get right down to it, by studying and applying the use of demographics of zip codes and subdivisions, you can usually ascertain what products or services in general may be of interest to and affordable by the people who live in these geographical targets. And so, what better way for a businessman to hone his message when building a marketing strategy than to target local zip codes and subdivisions? You would know a lot about the audience to whom you would be directing your marketing dollars. It's otherwise just like throwing a glass of water into the ocean. There's no measurable impact. Now, that's not to say that such an approach does not have a practical application on a regional basis. Quite the contrary. But as a matter of practical consideration, most businesses do not have the resources to market much beyond the zip code level. Nor is there any reason to market more regionally, because it's a well-established fact that most businesses acquire their customers and clients from within a 5-mile radius of their business location. So, those who use marketing strategies that incorporate radio, television, and regional newspapers are essentially wasting their time and their marketing dollars. They're marketing to an audience that is simply too far away and who could get the services and products from vendors nearby. Let me talk about solicitation. My team and I believe that there's a process involved in getting new customers and retaining existing customers that is much more involved than simply beating people over the head with non-stop solicitations. We take a longer view as a practical matter because economies, even local economies, have a cyclical nature. If you take the short view approach of just intense, nonstop hammering and solicitation, a business will typically fall out of favor when their competitors are able to beat them when it comes to price shopping, inventory, location, or convenience factors. We believe that success and longevity of any business has to do with proper branding. That would include customer satisfaction, reputation, product or service competitiveness, pricing, and most important, and this is really important, the creation of a top-of-mind status. What we mean by that is when the customer is ready to select a business for its products or services, that business should be top of mind. In other words, the consumer should think of your company first when it comes to all of the above-mentioned considerations. Prospective new customers, clients, or patients should perceive that your company offers greater satisfaction and social acceptance, maintains a good reputation, is convenient, and competitively priced. The result is a well-known entity that people favor and recognize as a choice to do business with. So I guess the next question has to be so what's the best way to build your brand so we can build this long-term relationship and ongoing sales? How do you effectively create a brand? Well, we have a good answer for that. We consider it an exciting answer. There are a lot of technical terms that I could use to describe the process of creating a brand quickly and effectively for a business. But what I've discovered is that the use of such terms without prior explanation and definition can lead to a very confused state and a lot of misunderstanding. Ultimately, you reach incorrect conclusions. And so, before I present these terms, I'm going to talk to you through visions and imagery. I'm going to set the stage in terms and concepts that are easy to grasp. And by so doing, hopefully, I will shortcut your decision-making process of whether or not to accept our concept and to take action by doing business with us. So here's what we do. Based on the specifics of your company and the products or services that you offer, we will identify and create an audience who are aware of, interested in, and likely to buy from your company. That sounds pretty cut and dried, doesn't it? Well, let me take it a step further. Imagine a large auditorium that holds somewhere between 10 and 15,000 spectators. Imagine that auditorium is actually filled with people who are aware of your products or services, filled with people who know your company and who are interested in your offer and would buy from you. Imagine that all of the people in this audience are sitting on the edge of their seats just waiting for you to make a presentation to them so they can spend their money with you. Well, how do you find and gather such a large group of people with that kind of frenzy to do business with you? The answer is very simple. You first create a top-of-mind relationship with them. You brand your business to them. You make them feel that your company is a socially well-accepted, reasonably priced, consumer-friendly, well-reputed company. Then, and only then, do you put them into your sales funnel and remarket to them. That's when they become a member of your audience and end up sitting in that audience waiting with bated breath for you to sell to them. Now, understand one thing, that not everybody sitting in the audience at any given time is going to buy at a particular moment because personal circumstances dictate that they must buy at a later time or on a different occasion. So you must be very careful about how you make your presentation to them. You must be prepared to solicit their business softly on multiple repeat occasions. For a variety of reasons, people must see your offer 4, 5, 8, maybe even 10 times before they buy. This is a proven fact because it simply is a matter of human nature. In addition, numerous advertising and marketing studies which have researched buyer habits and human tendencies all support this common sense assertion. But let me make very clear one irrefutable fact. If you don't brand your company first before you start the remarketing process, that audience will turn a deaf ear and a blind eye toward you because you will be nothing more than an unwanted solicitor to them. You'll be another dog in the background barking to get their dollars. So don't do it. Brand them first. So the next series of 4 slides show you a list of 20 general industry categories that we serve. My team says I always fail to point this out early enough in the presentation so that people can see if or not this application is for them. So there are 20 categories showing there. It doesn't mean that if your business doesn't seem to match any of the categories in there that we could help, then give us a call. We'll tell you whether or not we can serve you. Most recently, I had a friend of mine who was attempting to present his services to various businesses and educational institutions, and we were able to serve him even though his business was quite unique in the marketplace. So anyway, take a look at those, and let me get back to what I was talking about. So what we do is to create an audience of no fewer than 10,000 people who would, with all things being equal, become your customers. And then we market and remarket to them. And by that I mean we initially market and then we retarget them. We continually follow them around the internet and display your marketing advertising to them. And by so repeatedly doing this, we build your brand deeply and widely until they are ready to spend money with you. When the time is right and the circumstances are at hand, you will be top of mind. So we have a lot of experience doing this with a variety of businesses in all categories. So no matter what your business is, whether it's a medical service, home repairs and improvement, legal services, or anything else, we can promote your business to people in the community by virtue of zip code targeting or subdivision targeting or both. So the next question is this. How do we identify an audience? How do we create that audience? And how do we brand that audience? Now, this is the heart of what we have to say, and it's somewhat complex. So let me see if I can get it out right the first time. I know that by virtue of all of my experiences in teaching people that different listeners hear things when said in different ways. So I might have to say this a couple of times to make it clear. First, and this is always the case, we interview your business to get a clear understanding of who you are and what services or products that you offer. We ask a lot of questions, and in getting to know you, we find it important because we will use the information to create a huge list of keywords that are closely associated with you, your product or service. Now, let me stop a moment. Why is that important? Because when people are looking for a certain kind of product or service, they type in certain words into Google search. And unless you are carefully determining what the most appropriate keywords are, if you're not careful in doing that, people will type in keywords that will not bring you up in the search results. So we do a lot of study of who you and your products and services are, and then we divine, if you will, a huge list of keywords associated with you and your business. We then determine the exact websites associated with these keywords that people will be visiting when they type in certain keywords. In other words, we're going to be able to determine in advance what websites people are going to visit as a result of certain keywords that are typed in. And then we do something very ingenious, and this is the core of how we drop pixels without people having to visit your website. Once we've identified the websites likely to be visited as a result of a certain keyword searching, we are able to put a public service announcement onto those websites. Almost every website out there will allow a public service mention. And so when people who type in certain keywords go to certain websites, they're going to see a public service announcement, and as a result, a pixel is going to be dropped right onto their computer. Now, this public service announcement is in essence an ad that was placed on the page. It is the code of that ad that places a pixel on the computer of whoever visits that page. Not only that, but the algorithm of the software that runs this platform also identifies pages that contain your keywords that perhaps were overlooked in the list of URLs. Wow, if you understand that the first time through, you're a better person than I am. Let me see if I can say that more succinctly. We identify keywords that match your business. We identify the websites that people will visit as a result of those keywords. We put public service announcements on those websites, those targeted websites. And when people type in keywords and end up on those websites, the public service announcement code is the element that drops a pixel on their computer and follows them around the internet. I hope I said that clearly. Anyway, that's how it works. And let me further add, a tracking pixel is a small piece of code that enables us to follow people around the internet and to display your marketing message to them on any website that they visit, no matter how relevant or irrelevant that they might visit, which does permit ads. And most do, by the way. So we display your marketing banner to those audience members, those people who have been defined by the keywords and websites that are relevant to your business. We market your information to those key members over and over as they navigate the internet. We call this process no-click retargeting because they never have to visit your website to get a pixel dropped on it. Now, as I continue this discussion, I'd like to show you how the old system, the old-time retargeting was done and why it's not a good alternative these days. First of all, the service is provided by Google AdWords, which means you're going to be bidding competitively on certain keywords that you want associated with your website. And if those keywords are competitive, you're going to pay, who knows, anywhere from $1 to $150 per click. In other words, every time somebody clicks on your website, you're going to incur that expense. Prior to that, of course, you're going to be spending money driving people to your website. That's an expense. Then you're going to be paying a per-click cost when they click on your website. So let's say you're going to spend $200, and let's assume that you're only going to pay $1 a click. Well, the result is that you're going to have a list size. You're going to have an audience of 200 people who, every time they click on your website, it's going to cost you whatever, $1 to $150. That's the old-time way of doing things, and let me just suggest to you that if you are paying, let's say, only $5 per click and you have 1,000 clicks on your website, you're going to incur an expense of $5,000 as a result of cost per click, in addition to the expense of driving people to that website. So it can get to be pretty doggone expensive. Let me just repeat that. With the old-style retargeting strategy, the prospect had to be driven to your website, which costs money to do, and then they actually had to visit your website in order to receive a tracking pixel in order to keep seeing your ad while navigating the internet. In other words, the prospect had to click on your website in order for you to drop a pixel on their computer, and this could become very expensive. Now, let's talk about the new way, the new retargeting strategy. Let's say you're also going to spend $200, but let's see what you get for that $200. First of all, you're not going to have to drive any traffic to your website. When people type in a search word, a keyword, they're going to end up seeing a bunch of websites. We have also been able to identify those websites, and we will put a consumer service ad on that website, so that when people go to the website as a result of their keyword search, they're going to have a pixel dropped, a pixel tying them to you, making them a member of your audience, making them a member of your targeting family, as a result of simply having visited that website. They don't have to click on your website. So let's say you're going to spend $200 because we're developing the retargeting list, the audience, if you will, through impressions, ad impressions. We're going to be able to spend as little as maybe 2 cents or a penny, maybe 10 cents. It varies with the keyword, but very little money. And what we're going to do in this example is we're going to show you that you can have as many as 50,000 people in your audience as a result of having spent as little as $200 and creating a retargeting audience of 50,000 people. Now I ask you, how would you rather spend your $200? Getting 200 people into your audience or getting 50,000 people in your audience? Pretty simple, I think. This kind of opportunity of building a retargeting list, building an audience, has never been seen before, especially with the capability of drilling down right to the keyword and specific page of any particular website. They do not have to click on your website. They do not have to visit your website. They do not have to do all of the complicated, expensive ways of doing things to be put into your audience, and that's what we do. Imagine building your audience, your retargeting list, based on ad impressions rather than costly clicks. Now, let me assure you that this is not an annoying, invasive experience. You have no doubt been retargeted yourself and certainly were not annoyed and perhaps didn't even notice it. If you notice that a certain ad, perhaps from Amazon.com as an example, is showing up on your computer screen as you move from one website to another, this is no coincidence. You may have not realized it, but you've been retargeted. Amazon.com has dropped a pixel on your computer because you visited their site, and that enables them to follow you and to display their ad on any website that you visit which permits such ads to be displayed. All major companies utilize retargeting campaigns to a greater or lesser degree because retargeting does work well for them. They may not be trying to sell you anything specifically at any given time, but they are creating an ongoing awareness of who they are, which is a branding activity, so that the next time you decide to buy whatever product or service, that you will buy from them. And that's exactly what we propose to do for you. We will take your product or service and repeatedly promote it through retargeting to your carefully defined audience until such time as they buy from you. Now, most of you have heard of Kevin OLeary. He's one of the wealthiest sharks on the Shark Tank, and he has a very famous saying, "It's all about the money." If you can save money while making more money, you've done the right thing, at least according to Kevin OLeary and virtually any successful businessman out there. So you have to be thinking in your mind, okay, Terry Anderson, your first step is to find my prospects for me. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Our purpose is to make your business a household name. We know that by creating and marketing your brand, that your business will enjoy long-term success. Every time a consumer in your local marketplace plans on buying a product or service like yours, we want them to buy from you. That's it in a nutshell. We want to create a top-of-mind relationship between your business and consumers in the marketplace who can be specifically identified through zip code targeting and subdivision farming. Now, I'm looking at my watch and I can see that I've already spoken for more than 32 minutes, so I'm going to bring this webinar to a close. You're going to get a notification to watch a replay if you wish to do so, and otherwise you can probably see a note above the chat box which will give you our phone number. And if you wish to discuss our services or need answers to any questions that remain, feel free to call us. Also, you should have received some notification with a clickable link for our website, but I don't know if I'm going to have you spend time looking for that. So let me just give you our website so that you won't have to look for it. It's www.marketing.ToZipCodes.com or marketing.ToSubdivisions.com. They both go to the same place, so choose whichever one you can remember best. And since I'm giving out websites, I'll give you my phone number as well, 804-379-8329. Now, we answer questions 7 days a week, but obviously we're not going to be answering questions at midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're not going to be answering questions at 5 o'clock in the morning. So if you could make it sometime, reasonably speaking, between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m., we'll be happy to answer your questions. On Sunday, we don't start taking requests until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. and we will also go to 10 o'clock at that time. Saturdays are like everyday business hours for us, so please call us between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. as well. So this is, again, Terry Anderson. Thank you for your interest, thank you for your attendance, and thank you for your attention. I wish you the best.